Okay, let's get started. Again, for the one who just joined us, my name is Zoe. I'm an application engineer at Central Innovation, and today we are going to have a look how we can create exploded views out of assembly in using SolidWorks. Today, we are going to have a look. First, we will see what is an exploded view, and then we will go through the SolidWorks software itself, and through some case studies, we will create an exploded view. We will introduce a smart exploded lines, and then I will show you how you can use, in which cases you can use an existing subassembly exploded view, and then we will have a look at the animated view of an exploded view. So from now on, uh, let's see first, let's see what's an exploded view, okay? An exploded view is a view, as you can see in these two cases, is a view that helps us to understand how the components within an assembly are assembled and they sit together. Uh, you can create exploded views of assemblies by exploding the assembly components by component. The assembly can toggle between normal and exploded view states. So when you create an exploded view, you can edit it and do some changes to your exploded view. And also you can use it in a drawing, as you can see an example here. Exploded views are usually set within the active configuration of an assembly, and you can have more than one exploded view in each configuration. So here are the case studies that we are going to go through it and do some steps for for each exploded view. The first one is a flashlight. As you can see, the exploded view is showing here. So we're gonna create this exploded view. The next one is a support frame, which mainly this support frame will show you how exploded lines can help us to understand the way they are assembled together. And the next case study, I will use it to show you how you can reuse an existing some assembly exploded view to just skip a step in your creating when you are creating an exploded view within an assembly. And from now on, I will switch to SolidWorks itself, and then we can continue from there. Let's first, I will open the flashlight. So it's a best practice to, when you want to create an assembly view, create a separate configuration. This is recommended. And the reason for this is that if for exploded view, if you want to have certain mates for any reason, you can either add them to this configuration or suppress them, unsuppress them. For example, for this case, for the case of flashlight, I want this component to be always fixed. We don't want to do any movement for this component for our exploded view. So what I did for this swivel, I guess this is, yes, excuse me, for this head, this is the headlight. If I go to mate, you can see there is an angle here which is suppressed for the rest of the configuration. So, but I unsuppress them because I want the position of this head to be fixed while I'm creating my assembly view, my exploded view. So that's why it's recommend. This is the best practice that have a separate exploded, separate configuration For example, in my case, I named it exploded for your exploded view, and then you start your exploded view saying that even within my default configuration, I can have my exploded view, but as I said, this is the best practice to have a separate one. And as you can see, when I toggle off between the two configurations, the position of the headlight is changing. So now that I added that angle mate, the position of the headlight will be fixed and it will situated always at the same position. Now I'm going to go and start the exploded view. Is there any question up to now before we go through the exploded view itself? So great. Let's move forward and we see how we can create an exploded view. So simply in the Assembly tab, you can access the exploded view. Just click on the exploded view and it will create it in the active configuration, as you can see here in the exploded configuration. And when you go to the feature, you can see different options. The first is that it will show you the exploded steps, the steps that you are taking to create your exploded view. It is always important to think about what components and in which order you want to you want to explode them. The reason for this, you will see later on when we show the animation of the exploded view. So when we have another purpose, and for any reason we want to use the animated um, exploded view for other purposes, maybe such as marketing or any other reason. So in that case, the order of the exploding of the components matters. So for any reason, if you just didn't follow your order, you can reorder your steps. So we will go through them later on when we created some steps. And then when so here it keeps a record of your exploded steps. Then here you can choose a component, okay, here for this step specifically. And for exploding your component, you have two different options. One is the regular step, where you can use a transitional or rotational movement to explode your component. And the other one is the radial step. The radial step, you need a radial movement to explode your component. We will use it in a second. And here, as you can see, you can select a direction. Let's move through the first step so it's easier and more tangible for you to understand. So the first thing that I'm going to explode, as you can see, this component here, this locking pin, we have two of them at up and down, okay, in the upper side of the assembly and lower side. So instead of taking two steps to explode them separately, which is possible and it's okay, but in those steps, I need to use the regular step, okay? I'm going to use the radial step, select my components, and as you can see, I can explode both at the same time using the radial step. So as you can see, it's all done. I just exploded both components at the same time using the radial step. So here you can see the direction that I have uh, moved radially. Here you can see the distance. You can change all of them manually, but I just did it through the graphical area. So you can change the angle of the position of the um, exploded components, but I'm happy with everything and I just done with the first step. Another important thing when you are creating your exploded view is that don't press OK, this green button here, till you finish all your assembly steps. So instead of to move forward to the next step, you just need to say that you are done with the first step. And as you can see, now you are leading to the next step, exploded step 2. The next step is that you can see there is a sub-assembly in this top assembly, which is flashlight. I want to move the whole assembly, which called base, to move it a bit in Z direction. So as you can see here, down to the down to here, there is an option. There are some options here. When you have the select sub-assembly parts selected, you can see that if I select on each component of the sub-assembly, this component is related to this base assembly, which is a sub-assembly to the flashlight. You can see just that component is selected, okay? For now, because I'm just going to use the whole sub-assembly and move it um, and explode it, I just make sure that before that I select the sub-assembly, I just select this one off, deselect this one, and then when I select any component, you can see that the whole sub-assembly is selected. This is one way of selection, or I can directly go to the feature manager tree here and just select the sub-assembly. Okay, so as you could see, this is the application of the sub-assembly part. Select the sub-assembly part, so it matters whether it's selected or unselected. So here, as you can see here, I'm going to take a regular step and then move the whole assembly towards Z direction. Let's say this should be fine. Yep. And then I'm done with the step 2. And now I'm going to go and select each component of this sub-assembly and explode them. And let's go for this one. As you can see, because this is unselected, this select sub-assembly parts, the whole assembly is selected here. So I just clear this selection, make sure that this option is selected, which allows you to select the bottom level components of a sub-assembly. And now, if I just select this component, you can see how easy it's selected. I will move this one a bit out in Z direction. That should be fine. And again, I'm mentioning that I can do the distancing. I can enter a distance manually from here, let's say 85 or 90. And as you can see, it can be applied. The next thing that I'm going to explode, I'm done with this step. Don't forget to press done after each step. Now I'm going to extract out to bring out these 2 batteries. So you can see that we can move out few components all together. So the same, I will use the radial or regular step and then just move them out. I'm done with this one. Now I will move this direction towards Y direction and it should be fine. I'm done with this. There's a pin here. I'm going to move that one out as well. So here it is. Done. And the next one, I will use this one first to explode it and move it up a bit. And when I'm done, again, I will use this one to just a bit rotate it because here is a cap. And you will see when we animate it, what does it do. So I just change the alignment of the rotation and I'm done with this one as well. The next thing that I'm going to explode is this red component here. As you can see, it's named Swivel. So here I'm going to introduce a new opportunity. I just select that component. And if I get closer, you can see that I'm not happy with the direction for this component. Okay, it's based on the original, the main origin of the subassembly. What you can do here, you can see this moving triad, and you can see the origin, the current origin is in white color. Yep. So if you just go on the origin of this moving triad, you can move it to wherever that you like. Now I'm going to just I just toggle my mouse on the white point, which is the origin of the moving triad, and now I'm going to move it and release it on. You could see that I made a mistake, and simply by you can undo from here or press Ctrl Z to undo your action. Okay, we are done with this one. Again, I will go for the same component. I'm not happy with the direction of the X axis. So what I'll do, I just simply drag this origin to this face. And as you can see, now the direction is absolutely perpendicular to the face that I want to move my component. So now I drag out my component. So I'm happy with the location, and then I'm done with this stage 2. So the next, you can see there's an option here that you can use auto spacing for components that you are going to explode. Okay, for the next components, I will use this auto spacing. And as I said before, because I want to use the animated mode of this explosion view, so the order of selecting component matters. So first I will select the lens cover. Okay, as you can see here, and you will see in a minute that why it matters. So the next is reflector. Next is this miniature bulb. And finally, I'm going to move out the head. Okay. So I'm going to move out these 4, and as you can see, I selected them in different order. Okay. Now, as again, I'm not happy with the direction of this movement, which this triad is given me. I'm going to move it out and just drop it on one of these edges, because I want to move these components exactly perpendicular to this surface, which I'm highlighting here. So simply I just drag this white origin here and drop it to this edge. And as you can see now, I have this direction exactly perpendicular to that surface. Let me zoom in and you will see which surface I'm exactly mean. This surface, okay? So I just drag and drop the origin of the triad to one of these edges. And when I move, before that I move the components out, I make sure that this auto spacing components is selected. So you can just do the spacing, define how much spacing you want between the components to automatically apply from here. Just I will stick to this much. And then there's a bounding box, which SolidWorks will consider for the selected components. So you can select between the center, use the center of the bounding box, use the rear of the bounding box, or use the front of the bounding box. I will stick to the center of the bounding box, and then I will move them using this axis. And as you can see, the spacing is automatically applying, and you can see the order of the selection here. That's why the order of the selection matters. If I have selected this component in different order, so those components will move out first based on my selection, as you could see. So, but I'm going to do some adjustment to this auto spacing, because to me this space is too much. So as you can see, you can move later on, change the spacing between the moving component using each of these individual arrows. Now everything is okay, and I'm done with this step. One last thing is this component here, this cap, and I'll just move it out, place it in between these two components, and we are almost done with the exploded view, as you could see here. And now it's time to press on OK. Before that, I press on OK. Let's go back to the place that it keep a recording of your steps. If you remember, I told you that the order of your steps matter for exploded view. So if you do your exploded view and have a look and see that you are unhappy with the order, you can simply, like Feature Manager 3, reorder your steps from here. Okay. For example, I'm going to, let me see. You can change the order of these two steps, for example. Now you can see the step 4 and 3 are reordered. So let's go. I will press on OK. Now everything is done. Before that, I show you the animated view and see how the reordering will apply. What I'll do, I want to show you how you can toggle off between the exploded view and collapse view. Okay, so if I just right click on the exploded view, you will see there's a collapse item. When I say collapse, when I um, select the collapse, you can see that exploded view are just collapsed, and now you can get back to the normal view. Again, if I right click to the exploded view and just select the explode, you can go back and to your exploded view, and in this way you can toggle off between the normal and exploded view of your assembly. The other thing that I can show you here is using the animated collapse. Now you can see that why this matters, the order of the step matters. If I just replay it, you could see when I did the reordering of step 3 and 4, first the head, this cover sits on the base, and then the batteries goes in, which is not what we want. Can you see? So easily I will exit from the animation. I will go to the exploded view. And then I will go to edit my exploded view, and I will reorder the step 3 and 4 and back it in place. If I again go back and go to animate the exploded view, you can see that first the batteries will go in, and then the cap is sit on the base. So here you can see how the ordering of your steps, and even for the step that we use, and we select different components to explode matters, because it will apply, it will show itself in the exploded view. And for the exploded view, you can save it, you can um, use it in a, you can create, make your, before saving, you can create your recording in, using a lower space, or make it quicker. So you can do all these sort of things to your animation, which is not really the focus of this webinar, but just it's good to know if you want to use the animation for any other purposes. The next thing that I'm going to introduce, do you have any question up to now? So, good. I'll move forward, and now I will show you another cool feature that it has been added after version 2018, and it can save you a lot of time. So if you go to exploded view, if you just scroll down, you will see that you can add a line sketch. Okay, previously we could add line sketch manually, where you needed to select the edges that you wanna have the exploded line. And as you can see, it's routed differently, and it was so time consuming. In case that you have a very large assembly, it was so time consuming, because you needed to, let me show you, for these two batteries and this edge, you can see that how it is different. It is not my favorite, so I have to do different selection and really find the best possible line that I can get using this manual exploded line feature. So again, as you can see, there is a break here, which I really don't like it. So it is very time consuming if we want to do it manually. Okay. However, we can select OK, and then we will have we have this 3D sketch here, so we can go and edit the sketch. But again, I'm emphasizing in case of large assemblies, you could see how it can takes your time. But SolidWorks 2018 from 2018 onwards has done is that it has added. Let me get rid of this sketch. It is a smart way of inserting the exploded line. If you just again exploded and scroll down to the exploded view, after you create the exploded view, you will see this insert or edit a smart exploded line here. Okay, and in a matter of 1 second, you could see that all the exploded lines are added smartly. This is really cool, and it saves a great deal of time for the designers. And as you can see, there are different options for all the components that you use to create the exploded view are listed here. And by moving on each component, you can see that the component itself and the related line is highlighted, and you can customize wherever that you are unhappy with the with this added exploded line. For example, for these batteries, I'm not happy with to have this line to the center of this component. Okay, what I can do, as you can see, there are different options here which helps you to route your exploded line. So either you can change, you can see this purple point at the end, either you can change it manually and drag it to any vertex or edge. If I just drag and drop it to this edge, you can see that it will center exactly at the center of the this circular edge that I just drag and drop it there. And I will do the same for this one. So you can manually edit it, or let's go back. You can see that this circle at the middle, it seems a bit odd, so I don't like it. What you can do, either you can select the related component from here, and as you can see, this circle and also the related component is highlighted, and probably this circle has been added because I did a rotation movement also for this cap here. So simply you can come here and set it. If I change the bounding box center, if I change it for component origin, you can see you can get rid of that big circle at the middle, which seems a bit odd. So again, I can do some modification for this line. So you can do all this modification here. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you could see how smartly the exploded line is added, and you can save so many times, and how it is editable based on what you want. If I click on OK, you can see you can have all the exploded line as you want. Okay. Is there any Yes, one of the attendees is asking that if this webinar will be available on YouTube. Michael, if you have access to um, My InterCAD, I guess you will be able to see this webinar on your own time and actually forever. I guess it's accessible, but I'm not sure if it is accessible to public. I'm not sure about that. But I will make sure and let you know, okay, Michael? Because I have your contacts and I will email you the correct answer. Okay, now if I finish with this assembly, okay, and we are nearly have 20 minutes to the end of this webinar. So I have 2 more case studies to show you. Before that, I go to the support valley and frame. I will go to this the second case study because this is a new things to add to this webinar, to the content of the webinar. But for the third case study, if we have time, we will go through it because the third one, it is just a repetition of the first sub-assembly, and you could see the importance of exploded lines for the third case study. But for this one, the only thing that I would like to show you is that I have created this assembly, okay, where I have inserted so many parts and assemblies from the toolbox, okay. If I go to the feature manager tree, you could see that I have bring 2 expander and I have used the toolbox, either it has been a customized one or a standard one, where I inserted these 2 sub-assemblies to the top assembly. Okay, so in these cases, and you know that there are a lot of small components in this sub-assembly. For example, for this example, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 small components in this expander pin. Okay, and because I have inserted it from the toolbox, again, I'm emphasizing I might have an already existing exploded view for this sub-assembly. Okay, the question here is that, is there any way that I can reuse that existing exploded view? Because it could save a huge amount of time for me, and I do not need to do extra steps to explode the parts for this sub-assembly. Okay, so just have it in mind whenever you insert something from the toolbox or from the existing library of the SolidWorks, you might have an existing exploded view. So what we can do in these cases, okay, if I go to exploded view, I want to add a new exploded view, okay? If I go to the exploded view, again, I will make sure that this one is unselected. And I know that this is a sub-assembly that I have inserted from the toolbox. So I just need to select the sub-assembly, and as you can see, the expander pin, which is the name of that sub-assembly, is added here. So I want to check if there is any existing exploded view for this sub-assembly. Okay, to check to see if such a option exists, so just right click on the sub-assembly, and if there is any existing sub-assembly exploded view for this expander pin, you can see that SolidWorks gives you the option that reuse reuse sub assembly explode. Okay, what will happen? If I just reuse the subassembly explode, you can see that the exploded view of the component related to subassembly is added. Okay, and then I have the first step added to the exploded view. I can continue with the next one. For example, I will use this. The next step will be that I can simply use auto spacing for these two components and extrude them and move them out. And I will do the same for the rest of the exploded view. Okay. So the purpose for this case study was that, again, to wrap it up, I'm not going to continue for the rest of the exploded view for this one, but I have created one before. I can show you. As you can see, I toggle between this sub-assembly, and this is the way that I have done my exploded view. So whenever you insert something from the toolbox, especially when you have inserted a sub-assembly to your assembly, so make sure that if there is an existing exploded view for that sub-assembly, and the way that you can make sure that if there is an existing one or not is just simply right click on the sub-assembly that you have inserted, and if you see an option reuse the existing sub-assembly exploded, so you can simply use that one, and the exploded view related to sub-assembly will be added to your steps in the exploded view. So I'm not going to continue with this one. Now let's move to the, because the only purpose was to show you how you can use an existing exploded view if there is any. I will go to the support frame. For this one, again, it's a, do you have any question? Good. Hope you find it helpful and you really get the concepts. So for this one, as I said, there is nothing new. I just need to go forward and do the exploded, because when we add the explode lines, you will see how the explode lines will be important, especially for this sort of cases that we have so much pins and bolts and which are quite small, and in an exploded view it helps for us to see which bolt is related to which hole. So if I go to the sub-assembly and start a new exploded view, first I will move all of these planks. I will move them up a bit. All good. For the next step, I will move all these screws here. And as you can see, you can use the selection option. When you do your box selection from left to right, whatever which is contained inside the box selection will be selected. So within the, you can see how easy I could select all of these screws. So now I just need to move them up a bit. I will increase this spacing from here. Let's say 12. Maybe more, 15. Let's go for 20 inch. Okay. Now it's okay. I'm done with this step. I will come back here. I will move out these two screws. Done. I will move out the other two screws from the other end. Okay. I'm done with this one. I want to move down, Control Z. I will add this sub-assembly as well. You can see that auto boxing, I guess auto spacing is selected. I don't want that, so eight inch. That should be fine. First, I will move all the related parts and assembly down, and then it will be easier to extract the rest of them. I mean, to move out the rest of them, because there are so many screws and bolts here. I'm done with these two. Next, I will move down. Okay. I need to select the components of a sub-assembly. Okay. I will move them down. But I need to move down the related screws. And these four screws here. Okay. I'm done with these two steps. Now I will move up these four screws. Range. I will change it to 6 inch. Everything is fine. Yes. And I just need to move out just the bolts. I told you I'm done with this one. I just need to select these four bolts for the next step and move all down. Okay. Down. You could see that I have left these bolts from here easily. Every step can be editable. Okay. I will go and find the step that I have moved all the components down, which was this one. I can edit if I just select it, means I can edit the this current step. And so I will done with this one. Then I need to go to the next step, which was this one, and add this bolt to it. Okay. As you can see, whenever you made a mistake, you can simply go back and edit your step. So now I just need to move these two bolts out. As you can see. And similarly for the other side, I'm done with these two. And for this side also, let me do, yes, come closer. All good. Again, I think if I just move this one a bit more out, which is this step, yes, it would be more clear. Now I've done everything with the exploded view. And now I can easily go and add the exploded lines. Okay. And as you can see how it is easy for us to understand the alignment of each screw and how and which holes they are related. As you can see here, again, all of these lines can be edited. So I'm happy because I covered all of the case study that I was supposed to do. So hope you find it useful. If you have any question, please just drop it in the chat box so I can answer your question. If there is any section that you want more clarification on it, or you want me to repeat any step. So I finished with the exploded view, and within this three case study, you could see that how easy, how easy and quick it could be to create your exploded view. But beforehand, if you can plan what you want from the exploded view, especially if you want an animation, so you can think of your orders. However, always you have the chance to go back and edit your step, reorder them, or add some component to your steps in the exploded view. You can, it's absolutely editable, and you can do modification later on if you change your design intent. But if you know from the first step what you want, so you can see how it is quick and easy to get it done. So however, it depends on how large your assembly is and in matter of the time. But you can see that creating an exploded view is not a big deal. Thank you for your attendance. Hope you find it useful, and see you for the next webinars as well. I will get back to you, Michael, regarding the accessibility of this webinar. Okay. But as far as I know, all of them are accessible and they will be uploaded. I will let you know specifically about making it accessible for the public. No worries. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Again, I'm going to thank you for your attendance and hope you enjoyed this webinar and hope to see you in the next webinars too. So if you have any question, I will terminate this webinar and then we'll see you hopefully soon.